Hello there and welcome. I'm marygrave and today we're building a house inspired by the painter Piet Mondrian for a shell challenge by Simbaran on Instagram. And while we're building, I will tell you something about Mondrian and abstract art. You know, it's almost like Murder Mystery Makeup Monday, but we don't have the cool alliteration. It's Art History Wednesday, I suppose. So, who was Mondrian? Mondrian was born in 1872 in the Netherlands, and he's most famous for paintings that look like this: rectangles in primary colors, red, yellow, blue, white, and black. Maybe some of you will be like, abstract art, what the heck? What is this even supposed to be? But no worries, I got your back. I will tell you why the heck abstract art happened. So, abstract art is a collective term for art movements of the 20th century that use shapes, forms, colors, and lines and put them together into compositions which may exist with a degree of independence from visual references in the world. AKA, the abstract art does not try to look like the real world, so they usually don't want to paint a landscape that looks like a landscape, for example. And there are several reasons why the painters of the time said, I don't want my paintings to look realistic, I want to paint shapes. Like most things in life, abstract art was developed over the time by several protagonists and was subject to historical, technical, and social developments and findings. You know, abstract art didn't just bam into the art world, it was a slow progression from realism over to impressionism, cubism, pointillism, and what else that appeared in that time to the cryptic shapes we know now as abstract art. And Mondrian is actually a good example for this development. After training as a drawing teacher, Mondrian decided to attend an art school in Amsterdam in 1892 because he did not feel called to be a teacher and as his father would have liked. His early paintings were more on the realistic side and followed the preferred style of the time. To earn money, he made scientific drawings for the university in Leiden in the Netherlands. And this kind of stuff is characterized by accuracy and strong realism. So you know he was able to paint and draw in a realistic way. But when you go to college, you learn a lot of new things and you get new inspiration and stuff. And Mondrian started to paint like the Impressionists paint. And with this, we are already leaving the realm of realism because in Impressionist paintings, you can pinpoint the exact location, at least mostly. The preferred motifs to paint were landscapes. But the artist painted with these really rough brush strokes, and because of that, the details were missing. And this had a reason. For the Impressionists, it was important to catch the atmosphere of the given location and at exactly this time they were there. And the atmosphere is strongly influenced by the light, which can change really quickly. That's why Impressionist paintings have this sketchy look to it and are not as detailed because the painters had to be quick. Besides, capturing the atmosphere was more important than reproducing reality in detail. In 1909, Mondrian's mother died. This was a pretty hard time for Mondrian, and he started to get interested in spiritualism. He became a member of the Theosophical Society, which was an esoteric religious group. Their beliefs were a mix between various religions, such as Neoplatonism and occultism, as well as Hinduism, Buddhism, and Islam. The basis of this movement is the so-called Universal Brotherhood. This is based on the belief that in a beginningless and endless universe, everything existing, every entity is related in its fundamental essence with a cosmic consciousness and is animated by it in all its parts. Thus, all living beings are connected with each other as an indissoluble universal brotherhood. At least that's what they believed. I'm not telling this to you because I find the occult is an interesting topic and I love eerie stuff, but because spiritualism and occultism movements of that time were a big influence on a lot of artists and led them to detach themselves from a realistic depiction of the world and the things that are in the world. Rather, the painters, influenced by the occult, try to capture the hidden truths of life in their paintings. And those philosophical and spiritual topics, they are abstract in themselves. And how are you supposed to paint something that only exists as a thought and as a written word? For other artists, such as Hilma af Klint, this was the starting point to paint truly abstract art, which consists only through shapes and colors. But for Mondrian, well, he wasn't there yet. He tried to represent his beliefs through personifications, but spiritualism should have become a big part on his way to truly abstract art. So keep this in mind. It was not until 1910 that Mondrian became part of a group of Netherlands artists called Moderne Kunstkring, and in the following year this group made an exhibition in Amsterdam and they invited artists from other countries as well, such as Paul Cézanne, Georges Braque, and Pablo Picasso. Because of the inspiration he got during this exhibition, he moved to Paris, which was like the city for art at the time, and he started to paint Cubist paintings like Picasso did. Cubism broke away from the foundations of previous painting. It can be read in two ways. As a definitive break with art up until this point, the Cubist painting no longer wanted to represent the apparent world. Instead, it was primarily concerned with formally structuring the space of a painting and reconciling the emerging distributions of values and forces. Or else it is seen as a conceptual break with the rules that have prevailed since the Renaissance: elimination of traditional perspective and skillful crafted brushstrokes. Instead, the role of the imagination and the unconscious was now emphasized as essential creative factors, in contrast to the imitation of nature of the previous epochs. But with time, Mondrian didn't like Cubism that much anymore. He criticized Cubism of the time for the fact that painters did not want to draw the logical consequence from their own discoveries and rechained three-dimensional space. Mondrian dissolved this naturalistic view of Cubism as abstraction by destroying space, using the surface and transforming it into a strictly rectangular form. Over the time he found his own personal style that we know and connect him with. The rectangles with the primary colors divided by black lines and white spaces. He started to paint purely abstract pictures without any recognizable object reference. Okay, thanks for the story, but what are these paintings supposed to be when they don't depict the real world? Well, do you remember the part with the spiritualism, occultism, and theosophy? The answer lies in Mondrian's personal worldview. Behind the changing appearances of the world around us, there is a truer sphere of reality that can be recognized through practiced. It is a kind of a model for a good life and orderly world. The analogy between the picture and the pure ideal reality is that there are no tragic vain forms, for example, surfaces against a background, impure colors, mixed colors, that is, but everything is solved in the balanced figure. Piet Mondrian's landscapes are based, since he still considered himself a landscape painter, on the natural relationship of the balances of horizontal and vertical. In the right angle, Mondrian recognized a universal symbol, namely the vertical of man standing upright on the horizontal earth. Wherever this polarity contained therein appears in our world, it creates tensions that urge a balance. The reason why he kept painting seemingly the same picture over and over again was because in his mind the exercise would lead him closer to the great truth and the good life. And for him this way of painting, which by the way is called neoplasticism, was kind of a religion. He believed that through this it was possible to change society and to create new, simpler and better forms of state, religion and family. Throughout his life, Mondrian worked on a better visualization of his beliefs in his paintings, and he published essays on his theory of art in which he critically stated that the art had not yet managed to represent this essential balance of the world. In October 1940, after the German attack on London, where he was living at the time, he emigrated to the United States. He joined in New York the artists of abstract art who had united in the American Abstract Artists, founded in 1936. He lived and worked in New York until he died here in 1944. So that's that for the little introduction to Piet Mondrian and abstract art. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, lucky you, because I have a series here on YouTube and Instagram called Tiny History, in which I talk, well, about history, mainly with the focus on art. My previous videos in the series concentrated on the history of architecture, and now I'm planning on making some videos about the fine arts, especially contemporary and modern art. So if you're interested in this, like and subscribe. And if you have any suggestions, like which artists you would like to see next, you can let me know in the comments section. I also have an Instagram where you can get in touch with me, and a Pinterest where I collect all kinds of inspiration. You can find the links in the description box down below. Oh, and before I forget, you can find this build on the gallery. It's not playtested though. This time I've built it for the aesthetics only. So anyway, thank you for watching, and we will see us next time. Bye bye.